Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I do not put this kind of activities off the table when I'm analyzing the garbage that happens in Israel and Gaza, and there is a coordination among some criminals in order to take care of other major global issues. You use a spontaneous crazy attack in order to take care actually of a different prize, like for instance September 11. Those guys attacked the towers and all that, and they destroyed what they say. How about we attack Iraq, and while we are at it, we're going to go in Afghanistan and so on. So right now I think the prize is going to be Iran, obviously, and it's very suspicious how you just seem to activate certain people outside of you. You're not going to be the one blaming everyone. It's going to be someone else who's going to blame and say, yeah. Actually, he has a point. I think Iran was involved. Why don't we go and fuck up Iran? Well, this is what the idiot Scholz of Germany, I think he was just activated. And I will show you what evidence he provides in order to support his not idiotic, because they might be true. They might be true. The problem is you don't show up and you say, you committed the crime. I have no evidence, but I think you committed the crime. You don't do that. But, I mean, you do it, but we should analyze this kind of behavior as we should. Get the fuck out of here, basically. Don't take this person serious. But let's see. Reuters. Germany's Scholz says Iran bears responsibility for Hamas attacks. That's it. That's a present tense sentence. Okay, it doesn't have any will, could, might, will, possibly. No, it's a statement, affirmative statement, right there. He knows you bear responsibility for the crime committed in the neighborhood. And you would say, okay, provide the evidence. And he's going to tell us what evidence he has. Berlin, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz said on Thursday, Iran bore responsibility for helping Hamas grow to the point where it launched last weekend's attack on Israel, as he announced a crackdown on organizations that backed the Islamist movement. So he says, because those guys had the weapons, they could have done it. Well, I think their mothers bear responsibility, more responsibility, because they fucked and then they bear children. And after they bore children, these guys, with the help of Iran, were able to do what they did. So that means the mothers are guilty. So why don't you go after the mom, Scholz? Using your idiotic, I can arm myself with whatever I want, okay? And people can help me arm myself. What do you want? I mean, all these countries are armed by someone, and when they act, are you going to go and say, hey, wait a minute, Rheinmetall, you provided weapons to these guys who killed those guys. That means what? Germany provided weapons to these guys and those guys use it. That means it's your fault. I mean, remember Germany in the Second World War had some American business involvement and bankers. And not only American, they had American banks, they had Ford Motors, I think some other, GM, I remember who GM was, but Ford for certain. And Ford was a American company, and they had all these guys investing in Germany during the war. So what are you talking about? What did the American government said? Eventually, I think they stopped them, but nevertheless, after it became too crazy over there. So let's see what evidence this guy has here. Read this. I'm quoting. While we have no firm proof, then shut the fuck up, that Iran operationally supported this cowardly attack, it is clear to us, okay, based on what? That without Iranian support, Hamas or Ham, as would never have been able to launch this unprecedented attack, he said. The jubilant statements from the top of the Iranian regime and some of the government officials in the regions are abhorrent. The leadership in Tehran shows its true colors without shame and thereby confirms its role in Gaza. Really? Okay, all right, I will take this. I will take the evidence that you support being that the top Iranian regime, right? Jubilant statements, okay? So if that's the proof of Iranian involvement, then let me tell you something. Do you remember, Scholz, that your fucking pipeline was blown up? You remember? Okay, that's more than an hour. These guys are putting under a carpet, so nobody hears about it. Nord Stream 1, Nord Stream 2. Now, if that was proof because Iran was jubilant about the attack, how were Americans jubilant about the attack and damaging your pipeline, Germany's and Russian pipeline? Is that proof too? Will you use the same logic? Of course not. So then shut the fuck up, okay? Regarding that issue. So he says that that's proof. That's what he says right here. It shows thereby confirms its role in Gaza. So then the Americans, when they said, well, we're going to destroy that pipelines, yes, that's a good opportunity. Blinken said it's a good opportunity, those things. They were jubilant. You got Victoria Nuland celebrating as well, right? They were jubilant. They were part of the U.S. government, were they? Were they officials? Were. So nobody said, hey, that's idiotic what you say. Nobody. So they were jubilant about it. And Biden claimed that if that happens, we will stop it. So they even gave more evidence. So I want to hear Scholz before I take him serious. That's why I don't take this guy serious. Because these are selective justice. I don't like selective justice. Selective justice is not justice. So he said, it's your fault because you are jubilant and you arm those guys. It doesn't mean that if I arm them, I agree with what they do next. Do I bear responsibility? Well, let's say this. A lot of military receive food. Where is Hamas receiving food to stay alive? Are the countries that provided food and help to Gaza, so Hamas, right? If you want to put it, because these guys now, they put Gaza and Hamas and Palestinian people in the same thing. So if you say Hamas, you absolutely say Palestinian people. And it's not true. It's an idiotic statement. Otherwise, we will be all guilty of Hitler's crimes, right? Because we're all human by lumping us together. Or all Germans are guilty because, Goering did this, or Goebbels did that, or, Adolf did that. That's idiotic. That's in the Old Testament. That's a different collective punishment. That's available to them, but not us. And Scholz is supposedly part of us, not of them. And he thinks like them. What the fuck is this? So anyway, my friends, the fact that certain criminals eat sometimes or are provided food by someone else, it doesn't mean that those guys supported these guys' action. Unless you just say, well, you're bad, we're not going to give you anything. Like you always were good, Germany. You gave always good stuff to everybody, right? I mean, it doesn't mean you can't talk. It doesn't mean you can't have an opinion on that. But he said, while we have no firm proof, then how do you call this thing? A crime occurred in your neighborhood and an idiot, a neighbor, comes and says in front of everybody, it's your fault. Why? Because, you helped him decorate his house one time or something, or, you went hunting with that guy and that guy used the rifle that, maybe you gave it to him, you sold it to him. That means you are guilty of his actions. You're not guilty of his actions. He made a determination. Oh, if he didn't have the weapon that you gave him, no assault. Well, if he was not born, then nothing would have happened. How about that? But if we go by that, then if Israel would not be around, then this would not have happened. No? Can we use that? No. So you see how idiotic this argument is, right? If Israel would have not been created, Hamas would have not existed. Is this how it is, Scholz? Under your idiotic, and this is the chancellor of the great nation of Deutschland. Deutschland. All right, in den Welt. All right. Thank you very much for being with me again today. So this is an idiot in charge of Germany. What do you expect? And they're going to try to stick this to the Iranians so they could be attacked and destroyed. But they will not, because Russia will not allow that. I guarantee you that. Remember, Russia has one of his policies, protocols in using nuclear weapons if their enemies, their enemies attack their allies, which Iran is one of them, all right, they can use that. And I don't think the Russians will have much patience, but maybe they have other plans, but they will intervene 100%. Thank you very much for being with me again today. If Iran is attacked, stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.